You're listening to episode 330 of the Major Issues podcast, and on this episode, we continue our anime celebration by covering Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and the Punisher. We got some audio issues, but the quality is still there. The Major Issues podcast starts right now! Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don. And if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. It's got to be anime, or maybe the fact you're here for the Major Issues podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
All-Star Asa.
All-Star Asa is in the building, and he's not alone. Other sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
I am your mecha enthusiast, Gregory Thomas, aka GT Rebirth.
I got GT Rebirth, I got All-Star Asa, and we are here to talk about Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and Punisher to continue our anime celebration as we look towards the East for some adaptations of our favorite stories in that very specific style. I started this journey putting some of this stuff on the calendar, and besides these are the feature film Marvel anime films. They did a couple. They dabbled with a bunch of series: Blade, X-Men. I think Wolverine even had his own for a bit there. Right, and but it's only these two films. Next week we tackle Batman Ninja, and I am desperately hoping for another good animated cover soon to finish off this month. But I landed on this one. Now, I had seen Rise of Technovore before, which is one we covered last week. Go check that out if you guys haven't. But this one, I think, was in my blind spot. I don't think I've ever seen this before. And we put it up on the schedule. It was released in North America on March 25th, 2014. So this is actually a 10-year anniversary of sorts that we're covering this adaptation. And it was produced by S.H.I.E.L.D, TVACBWNP Partners, the final partnering of Marvel Studios, Marvel Entertainment, and Sony Pictures Entertainment Japan and Madhouse. So this was a Sony Marvel thing. And I guess this would have been right at the time around Amazing Spider-Man, where Marvel and Sony are looking at each other like, maybe we don't want to do this, hang out anymore. But before we get fully into the recap and review of this, I want to get your guys' feeling for it. So, All-Star Asa, what did you think of Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and Punisher?
I saw it 10 years ago on a whim. I'll be honest, I completely forgot about it until I saw the schedule. Rewatching it, I rewatched it this morning just to kind of refresh myself. It was fun. You know, it made me respect Frank Castle a little more.
Right.
But you know, I have my issues with like some of the writing things that not something I wouldn't have done. But you know, overall, I'd give it a 3
serviceable. Serviceable. 3 out of serviceable. 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. GT, does this go into your Hall of Fame? This Avengers Confidential.
If it were of Marvel anime projects, it may as well, because that room is very small. This is all right. I had seen this quite some time ago. It was actually back when I made a habit of like I guess ripping videos off YouTube. This was one of the things that had gone into an old SD card of mine.
Right.
It's important to have a library for when you travel.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So this was a movie I had seen some time ago. So actually, I have more of a memory of this than Technovore.
Okay.
I remember just thinking like it was all right. It is probably one of the more convoluted ways to just drag the Punisher across an adventure he didn't belong in.
Yeah, the funny thing about this is not knowing how this will all end up. 3 weeks ago, we covered Punisher 89, Dolph Lundgren's Punisher, right?
Yeah.
Then the next week, I cover Rise of Technovore, which has Frank Castle in it. And then this starts off, and it's basically a Frank Castle movie. And I'm like, how did I end up on a 3 week binge of this man and all of his motivations? And we don't know if we could trust him. It's 3 weeks of that. It's 3 weeks of he's unorthodox and but he might get the job done kind of stuff. I I love the pairing. I love Black Widow and Punisher. The idea that they would censor something around them. I like that a lot of this film, the themes that they try to play around with this film are presented pretty early on. This idea that the world at large doesn't know how to feel about Frank, and thus people like Widow, who is duplicitous as hell, doesn't know how to feel about Frank. And I think eventually, at the end, she makes her definitive statement or her belief as to whether or not Frank's one-man war on crime is even worth it or not. I liked it way better on second viewing. The first viewing was a little rough for me because I think I ran into the same issue Asa did. There's a lot of exposition in the dialogue that then exposits upon itself. So it would be like someone says something along the lines of like, "Oh, it's cold down here," and then somebody else would say, "Yeah, it was much hotter out there." And then somebody would go, "Yeah, but in here it's cold." I'm like, okay, let's get past this scene. Let's move a little bit. Like I'm quite literally like they'll say something on the second watch, and I'm writing it in my notes, and then they will just reiterate it again. And I'm like, no, I got it. I wrote it down. I put it in the notes. It's all there. But I guess that's a symptom, a failing, whatever you want to call it, of anime in general, right? I mean,
so
if these scripts are not tight, they can be kind of expository. What do you think, GT?
Just that, there are two things that stand out for me in an interesting way there. One, the fact that according to the release dates here on Wikipedia, it was released in North America before Japan, so we got the dub before the actual movie actually released.
Oh, wow. That's
so,
strange.
The first version of this film is a bunch of English speakers trying to keep up with the Japanese lip flaps. Which is why you get these weird expositories sometimes.
Right. Like, they've got to fill in the blanks.
We just got to keep up with what these other people were saying. And like, I don't know, he said a thing, so he didn't, and he didn't. Fill it in.
Yeah.
Probably, in hindsight, I'd probably watch it in Japanese with English subtitles.
Probably.
Yeah, I'd probably be pretty sick that way, yeah.
If we were recording tomorrow, I would do it that way. And be like, oh, hey, it's way better this way.
I think it would be interesting if one of us did and then one of us did the other, but yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'm trying to remember what else I want to say. For the most part, you have that difficulty with like translating a language over and trying to fill time with the dub guys, which is just, as you said, it's a symptom of pretty much every anime that ever gets imported over here. I think it's just like a can't be helped situation.
Right. I mean, I think back at Dragon Ball, there's not a lot of like quotable stuff I think about. I think of scenes, right? But I don't think of like that line, because the line is probably, butchered half to death by the time it gets to us in America. I thought the action in here really held up. I thought, again, picking these two characters, last week when we were covering Rise of Technivore, we were thinking about what characters could kind of use an anime adaptation, and one sort of section that we kind of figured out it really works well in is the high violence, right? Anybody who has a lot of high violence in their comics or in their stories, it really shows through with this. And I was kind of surprised some places they went with Punisher in this. That was bonkers to me. I mean, like I said, like they're ahead of the game. Those muzzle flashes, it's like the camera shakes with the physics of the fight. If someone's getting hit, you got you get the almost puff of smoke on the impact. I like the physicality that they're able to bring to this stuff. I think it kind of changes the game in a way other people don't. But do you think that the action in this was worthwhile?
I thought it was all right. I guess there are a lot of situations where I could say I may have expected a little more from it, but for the most part, I was pretty satisfied with it. It wasn't anything uh particularly mind blowing, but also just not anything particularly disappointing as well. I liked some of the close up shots they did with like you get Frank Castle holding the knife like right in front of the dude's eyeball, which is also like something of a deep seated fear. But I thought that was a very cool scene.
When you consider all that the MCU does now, right, or even the shaky cam criticisms from the Arrowverse, right, where it doesn't really seem like anything's really happening. It just seems like everyone's blocking every move, and all the kicks are being swept under, and all the. I always think of Arrow swinging the bow above people's heads
Yeah,
because he's not really trying to level somebody and take their head off.
yeah. It's like the old like when you can tell the pro wrestling clothesline went like high.
Yeah, on purpose. But then you get to this, and people are getting their faces stomped in. Like again, so at one point someone has Frank's boot on their head, and then you can feel the physics as he applies more pressure and cracks their neck underneath his boot.
Yeah.
I'm like attention to detail there. They're very, very good at that. But if you guys are ready, we can get fully into the recap and review of this film.
I am ready.
Let's go.
So, our spoilers for a freaking 90-minute, 82-minute film. This thing goes off in a clip very, very quickly. So, our story starts in Seattle, and according to police reports, gang violence is terrorizing the city. Washington might have a savior in the form of the unorthodox one-man war on crime himself, Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, but the public has not figured out how they feel about the vigilante and his blood-soaked method of dealing with criminality. As Punisher gears up, Black Widow can be seen looking at a news report questioning Castle's motives as well. So like I said, I think that's what kind of sets it up, right? This idea that Frank understands that the world is a bit confused by his motives, but he doesn't really care. And Widow kind of just watching from afar, trying to make up her mind about this. What do you think about this cold open, Asa?
It was fun. It was very it was very interesting to see like the him looking at the same article she is and like clearly not giving a crap, and then her like level of going like, well, maybe.
Right.
Like we'll see. Maybe he's
I can fix him.
Yeah, not him.
No, let's go try to fix somebody else later on. I'll leave that.
Yeah.
I'll leave that right where that's at. GT, what do you think about this opener?
I always think of it as just like if you are reading about yourself in the paper, Frank Castle, I feel like there's been a failure of skill here in your chosen vocation.
Yeah.
You might be too well known, sir.
Yes, and you're branded already. You've got the skull. You're walking around there. You know what I'm saying? What I also loved is that that's how the Punisher '89 film starts off, with a news report. Like there's a random guy and he's going around, and I'm like, yeah. That's how. I mean, that's comic books 101, right?
Yeah. Not just comic books 101 for me, but also you have that thing you do in movies where, other than the Batman, the main character never names himself, because that would be psychopathic.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like very few people actually just come out and be like, I am so and so. Huh?
So you leave Thomas Jane out of this.
Thomas Jane keeps bringing himself into it.
You're right. It's the John Wick of it, all right, where everyone's talking about this man, everyone's talking about what he's capable of, and we kind of just got to wait for the other shoe to drop so we can see what everybody else is so either scared of, intimidated by, kind of figure out what this guy's made out of. And we kind of do, because in our first official scene, Frank is a force of nature as he completely neutralizes criminals engaging in a weapons deal without hesitation. Using a storm of bullets, lacerated throats, and explosions, Frank takes down everyone involved except for the leader of the deal, a man named Kane, who he confronts and straight up interrogates using torture, hoping to find out who is Dragging Kane's body, Frank is suddenly surrounded by S.H.I.E.L.D. Quinjets, and Nick Fury's right hand, Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, appears out of nowhere. She informs Frank that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been watching Kane for a while, now hoping to uncover a bigger plot that's unfolding, and Frank stands directly in their way of doing that. Calling him short-sighted, Widow demands he hand Kane over, but Frank refuses even after Widow cautions him. They engage in hand-to-hand combat, and like this hand-to-hand combat, like, he's legitimately trying to shoot her in the face while this is going on. I put in parentheses gun fu, because while they're doing all this impressive stuff with their tech, and the little Widow's bite wrist shockers and stuff are all being engaged, he is actively just trying to shoot her in the face, which is interesting to see where his priorities are. And they're basically fighting evenly until Nick Fury arrives. Frank gets in his face, but he's tranquilized and brought aboard the helicarrier. In their efforts to secure Castle, Kane manages to get away. Oh, always messing up.
101.
What'd you think of this meeting between Black Widow and the Punisher, Asa?
Forgive me if I'm mistaken. Isn't Black Widow's enhanced to an extent, but the Punisher is just essentially a human at the highest point a human can be, right?
That's what I believe. I think there's been some ink spilled about what the Red Room might have done to Black Widow to, enhance her in ways. But yeah, Frank's just always been a grunt with a gun.
Yeah, but the fact that they're both essentially moving in sidestep and she's dodging bullets from feet away, I mean, it was really cool anime style. But I was like, but she's not. I mean, like, she still gets shot. Like, I mean, it's just
right. Yeah, 100%.
Unless she's
if we start arguing the logistics of it, it all falls apart.
Yeah, like that was my biggest. Like, as I'm watching, I'm like, this is cool, but like, she's still just a person. I mean, It's not like it's Quicksilver, Like, and that was, also, I guess his physicality. Didn't they go to punch and they hit each other's hands, and they're both just
several times in this. Yes.
And every time it's like the anime trope of I'm stronger than you. Like, we're just gonna push now, and whoever's
yes.
One of my least favorite anime tropes. But all in all, again, the writing left something to be desired, but the action was fun.
What about you, GT?
I'd like to point out that there were some shots in this movie where Natasha's face is not even in the shot, but the rest of her is.
Yes.
Oh,
lots of
boy.
They were not shy about that.
The male gaze, GT. Are you here to talk to us about the male gaze?
The male gaze. Yeah, not shy about that sort of stuff. The fight was good. To go on what Asa says, I'm not sure. As you said, there are always some ideas about what the Red Room may have actually done to Black Widow physiologically. I am curious how to define Frank Castle. I in the sense that I have always, on exactly what you said, Asa, I have always taken what they did to Steve as the peak of human ability and efficiency.
Yeah.
And I don't think Frank is on Steve's level. So I think Frank is just really goddamn strong.
Not only that, but one of the things that they show is his rage allows for a bigger pain tolerance. I guess you could say is the most he's always bubbling over, especially in this is the most broody I've ever seen Frank is in this, as he's constantly like, well, all your red tape, and I get the job done, kind of stuff. It's the most he's ever had to explain himself, because people are constantly in this thing going like, come on, bro, you're not doing this the right way. He's like, I don't give a damn. Revenge. So yeah, I like that, and I like how
screams of dead children.
Yes. I like how playful Widow is in this. But again, it's kind of weird that she is so hardline, good or bad, considering her background, considering everything she's been through. But I guess out there in the field, you kind of got to know if you could trust the person that you're out there with, And this is a crossroads that always happens with Frank. People are going to meet him and they're going to have to decide how they feel about him. And, he's the one thing that's a constant is he never cares. He's not trying to ingratiate himself to people.
I would make a comparison as to say, I think this Black Widow would have a lot in common with the MCU's Mordo, in the sense that her redemption is so based on this new rule set that she is hard lined on it.
Okay. That
makes sense. Yeah.
I didn't want to see that Frank Castle's superpower is his willpower.
I can see that.
He's the Green Lantern?
He is super will.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a scary thought.
I always think of actually Bernthal's Punisher, right? Like, doesn't he get nailed through the foot or something like that at one point? Like they do, but he embedded a razor blade in his forearm that he digs out with his fingers so that he can free himself from some like rope trap or something like that. Like that's and
Talk
he's
about
totally
a
down
backup
to do
plan.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Imagine setting that up. What are you doing over there? Oh my God, Frank! Don't worry about it. It'll come in handy
Plan
later.
C. It's Plan D.
I'm feeling a little woozy. Should call a doctor, Frank. What are you doing?
And also, you just have to imagine that, it probably, one day it just shifts a little. It's just like, God damn it!
Yeah,
it's the worst day of my life.
Better not be peeing when that happens.
Oh,
it's really dangerous. On the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, Fury reads Frank the riot act for acting like he's above the law, mentioning they've only let him operate the. Yeah, right.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's quite in this. He's quite, pot calling the kettle black. So, Frank says his methods are effective and asks Fury to think about the sheer loss of life that happens while S.H.I.E.L.D. wades through the red tape before they act. Fury says Frank is worried about the battle while he's worried about the war, but one thing they can agree on is they're both here to stop the bad guys. He explains what bad guys they're facing. Leviathan, a terrorist group, and they're the real ones responsible for the high-tech arms that are flooding the streets, somehow acquiring S.H.I.E.L.D. weaponry and turning it against them. And once this gets revealed, Frank's just like, so y'all fucked up, huh? So I messed up. Mm-hmm. It was your weapons, right? Okay, so thanks for giving the weapons to the enemy. He criticizes S.H.I.E.L.D. for having blood on their hands because there is their weapons on the streets. But Fury tells him they would have found the weapons manufacturer if Frank didn't mess up their sting operation with Kane. They ask Frank what he knows, but he refuses to be their informant, even though he knows the location of Kane. They eventually agree to let Frank go after them, so long as he takes Widow with him. Again, this is all this is just Frank on the red carpet, right? Like being red, red is rights kind of stuff. And ultimately, it always ends the same way. We can't trust you. You're a loose cannon, but damn it, Frank, we need you on the squad. What happens here? And I just love the idea that they make Widow go along with him, almost like he's babysitting, or vice versa. I think she's actually babysitting.
Yeah,
in this situation,
more like it.
I don't know if Nick thought too well about whether those two would even get along, but I think she would probably give in the orders. Yeah, if anything gets a little crazy, you can kind of just say he fell out of the helicarrier. We'll say he fell out of the Quinjet. I don't gotta worry anything about it.
He never made it back. I don't know what happened.
Crazy.
Shrug. As they are en route, Widow explains how lethal Leviathan is, saying that they have their hands in every part of criminal activity, from human trafficking to drugs and weapons deals. When Frank and Widow find a Leviathan base in Slovenia, Frank ignores Natasha's request to wait until sundown to infiltrate. Using their skills, the two breach security and enter the facility. Soon find an area of the warehouse where a legion of pods holding humans inside of them are found. When Castle sees Kane, he tells Natasha that he has already fulfilled his obligations to S.H.I.E.L.D. and he'll now be working alone to kill Kane. Widow says that he can't end up jeopardizing the entire mission, and she can't allow it, but Frank reiterates his beef is with Kane. They engage each other again in hand-to-hand combat and agree to stop fighting, but Frank just walks away in search of Kane, who he finds in a hallway and interrogates him to find out who's in the pods. Kane reveals his boss is called Orion before blinding Castle with his phone and disappearing. Bum, bum, bum. Did it surprise you guys that everything went to shit the second that they had a disagreement?
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
I mean, it's the climax. Also, I like how that's the same story as Captain America's Civil War in the MCU. These 5 guys could topple an entire government. These 1,000 men are literally super soldiers, and they can do it.
There's a suit. There's like it's like Walmart. There's a super soldier factory seemingly in every state, pumping out super soldiers to the highest bidder. And yeah, this is just one of them. But yeah, I'd
like to take this time to note out an issue of the animation that bothers me. The way they animated or have drawn Frank Castle's chin makes it sometimes look like a beard.
Yes, I agree. I see that as well. I have seen that as well. Because I kept wondering if they were trying to give like a
shit out of me.
Yeah, I kept trying to wonder if they were trying to give him some sort of 5 o'clock shadow, but I don't know what was going on there. I mean, is there an easy side to be on here? Is Frank too tunnel visioned in this moment? Should he be stepping back? I mean, she's the one who wanted to wait till the day before, and he was able to breach the whole warehouse in like an hour.
I mean, I feel like I say this grain of salt, but I feel like Frank Castle's not wrong, but like his way is wrong. But like, I think he typically has the right attitude about most things. In most cases.
In some cases. Be very careful about this thing. Because I mean, Kane is right there. That's what he came for. But again, there's still a lot to be known. There's still a lot to find out about. And what do you think, GT?
I think Frank Castle is not about unpacking anything physically or emotionally. Sure. Yeah, man. For the most part, like he falls into that realm of a lot of characters, which is just like, you've got the right idea, bro, but you're being kind of a dick.
Yes. And no one's going to tell you got that right idea because you're being kind of a dick. You've not made it easy for us, Frank. Yes. So... yeah, and then the whole blinding thing, I literally thought was just that. I thought it was like smoke bomb kind of stuff. I was like, okay, he's gone. It is what it is. So Widow infiltrates the main portion of the warehouse and starts to upload all of their data to S.H.I.E.L.D. when she realizes that she's being watched by a man in a trench coat. Engaging him immediately, Widow proves to be no match, as the stranger is... yeah, right. The stranger is a super soldier of sorts. What's worse is the soldier is revealed to be Elias Starr, a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and Natasha's former lover, whom she thought was long dead. Now, I got kind of excited when I started watching this because I thought that this was Red Guardian.
Same.
I thought all the Hallmark tells were there that this was Red Guardian. I believe Red Guardian is actually Natasha's lover in the comics. It's not her father or father figure or whatever. I believe that it's some a
One of them could be a lover.
Yeah. Yes. But this is Elias Starr is the name of the villain Egghead. So I get Egghead. Egghead is what comes up when you look up Elias Starr, and he's like a cartoonish Marvel villain with, you guessed it, an egg for a head, or at least an egg-shaped head.
Okay.
Don't
that's
know
kind of
why
one
they
of those
went
names that
way.
only works when it's literal.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, what is that with this? There's no allusion to him being Egghead. He never says, "Damn it, I took it because you kept making fun of that egg-shaped head I had." So I have to take
it's
this.
just like you have to. It's one of those annoying things you have to read into it. Like, oh, he's an egghead because he's smart. I hate you.
Damn you.
Yeah, I just jumped into this, and he is not even. Why would you use this character? Like, ever? Why would they create this character?
Do me a favor and check out.
When you say create this character, I'm just like, well, somebody had an idea. I was like, well, what about if he had an egg for it?
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eggman. Yes.
Right? There is even there's a problematic DC Wonder Woman villain, Egg Foo, I think is his name.
Oh boy.
Or something. Problematic. Asa, when you get a chance, check to see if the Red Guardian is the former lover of Black Widow when you get a chance.
Gotcha. I'm on it.
So Widow lashes out in pain, but Star doesn't engage. She accuses him of being a traitor now that he works for Leviathan, but he tells her that he was given an opportunity to do and be more. Something he only agreed to because he figured it would make him finally worthy of Natasha's love. Turns out Star always felt like he couldn't keep up with her without superpowers, as she, in his eyes, would always choose the mission or Avengers over her to join him, saying that he can talk to Orion and convince him to take her on. Star explains that the pods are filled with the best spies in the world, all being prepped using tech that Elias perfected and has taken himself. Leviathan hopes to Elias bitter, which repulses Natasha. She declines his request with a stiff knee and then takes a fighting stance, making her choice clear. I did like that. I did like that she gave him that stiff knee and then backed up and was like, "All right, so what it is?" You know what I'm saying? We get and
That
yeah, they
said,
basically
in
just.
that
No, I was gonna say they basically just yell at each other for their various indoctrinations, right?
yeah.
You're working for a shadowy government organization. Well, you're working for a shadowy government organization. What you were saying, GT?
I was gonna say, if you were gonna choose a hit in that moment, I don't know why we just put one in the gut.
I thought it was the nuts. I thought it was the nuts, to be
too.
honest. And yeah, the fact that they had to refrain. I mean, come on, kid gloves. This is ridiculous.
I feel like you'd go for something
would-
more effective. That's all I'm saying. I feel like Widow is
You
the
had-
kind of person who would be smart enough to go for the light of the eyes.
Yes.
Well, even during that, why would you not? If you know he's a bad guy, why would you not immediately subdue him?
Yeah.
You're close enough. You already made your decision, and I understand, for story purposes. But isn't Black Widow like one of the best to take people down? Why would you not just boom down?
Yeah.
What's-
Also, the original Red Guardian was Natasha's husband in the comic books before his death was faked, and he was made into a soldier. So there you go.
Yeah, so they basically Winter Soldier his ass, the same way they did to Bucky. Well, if any of your friends die in comics, just assume that the Russians have taken them and are using them as some sort of some sort of weapons. I think it's just a hard and fast rule right now in the MCU. And also with this, one of the things I did like was I don't think we've ever seen this in the MCU, but Natasha fighting out of emotion. She's always seemed like a pretty tactical person, but when she finds this out about Elias, she strikes with passion. She's betrayed. She's angry. And those are things you rarely see from Natasha. Now, I will say this one's a bit more, leans a bit more to her feminineness than I would say other versions of Black Widow. But what do you think about that, GT? The idea that the game has changed now because her emotions are involved.
I was glad that there was at least some sort of I guess a personal stake for Natasha in this story, because other than that, it's just her sort of following around Frank Castle, just don't fucking do it, Frank.
Yeah,
Stay on
totally.
mission, Frank.
Right. And I mean, I think they right before this, you're in a position where you're led to believe that Frank is the emotional one. It's his emotions from the revenge that's taken him to this far, and she could never see his point of view. Or what are you talking about? It's about the job, it's about the mission, it's about this, it's about that. And then you fast forward to now, and now she's the compromised one. Now she's the one kind of pulling her punches because of the person that she knows. And we are saying she's pulling her punches because she quite literally pulled her knee when she could have hit him in the brain, as we've just established from before. Everyone knows that's the weakness of the super soldiers. Just a swift knee to the gonads. Yes.
I'd also like to note we are 26 minutes in before this Avengers movie has another Avenger.
Yeah.
Yes. There's actually very little reason to call this Avengers Confidential. I think other than the fact that you want to kind of make like you said, like a secret team, like how we were covering Nick Fury's Secret War, this idea that there's Avengers and then there's like the Avengers that are, expendable and in the dark and sort of, espionage, and then you have these two here. But it's it's got to be for the name. It's got to be for the name brand, right? Because this could have just been called, Punisher and Black Widow or something.
This could have just been called Shield Strike Team 6.
That's the most Asian or anime sounding.
Yeah.
Shield Strike Team 6, and then. Yeah, exactly. Nick Fury's in the middle too.
Of course.
So the former lovers do battle as Punisher continues to neutralize threats in the warehouse. Widow is against the ropes but manages to get Elias to his knees, but is interrupted by an explosion. Frank arrives as backup and the two escape with their lives. They head back to a S.H.I.E.L.D. base where Frank is given dirty looks as his reputation precedes him. Frank manages. It literally was like you brought an outside dog into the house. The way everyone was looking at Frank. Like, what the hell?
The irony is that if you brought Frank Castle into a police station, everyone would just be like, "Hey, I have that symbol."
Oh yeah, right, yeah. So Frank managed to snag Kane's phone in their last interaction. So they enlist genius Amadeus Cho, of all people. Very, very surprised by this cameo here. A man who would become the totally awesome Hulk. But they enlist him to hack into the phone to retrieve information. While Cho seems a bit erratic and young, he does know his stuff. And he knows all about the Punisher, who he is terrified of. While breaking into the device, Cho unknowingly activates the flash function, and a white light engulfs the room. When it dissipates, the Punisher, seemingly brainwashed, immediately engages Widow with violence. She fights back, but he is unfazed and unresponsive. S.H.I.E.L.D. operatives arrive to subdue Frank, but he executes all of them.
Oh my god!
I'm sitting there like, oh, they're looking for the off switch, and he is murdering people in the back.
Yeah,
they're like, and I'm like, oh, this is not. Come on, a little bit of more urgency here. So
I would love
Cho
this device so much more if every time it turned on, you just hear like the bass line from the Queen song.
Oh yeah, which one?
Dum 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 dum. Flash. Ah.
That would have been worth it. What's also kind of creepy is that once he goes under this thing, he gets the anime eyes, right? Like just solid colored eyes.
Yep.
With the black sort of shadow over
like
to indicate
Bison.
that he's evil now. Yeah. You just got like a real guttural sort of feel from the man. Cho throws the phone in an incinerator, gets it to explode, which seemingly stops the effect it had over Castle in the first place. But the damage has been done. Yes, yeah. And again, like, he could have stomped on it there. Like, again, so many people dead. So many dead people. But the damage has been done as they stand surrounded by dead S.H.I.E.L.D. members. What did you think of this action scene, Issa?
Well, one, as soon as the Punisher puts the gun to that guy's chest and shoots through him like 4 or 5 times, I thought was the most violent thing I've seen in a Marvel property in a really long time. It was one of my favorite scenes also. But you also, during this part, you got a lot of like cut-off scenes where it's like it's like just showing Punisher just shooting guns. That to
me, like double fisting a machine.
Yeah. It was very 80s montage action movie where he's clearly just killing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
My biggest issue was, as you're walking in, he is like, you see the guy with the Semper Fi tattoo, and he shows that he's a Semper Fi tattoo. He's like, afterwards, whenever, he's back in his right mind, he sees that guy, and like, you can tell the sadness is there because he killed like a fellow Marine.
Yes.
Like that
I didn't connect that. That's actually pretty like right there in front of me, and I didn't connect that.
Oh, really?
Like
that. I was like, that's but also, I would expect S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to be at Frank's level or better, for for a spec op, like spy, like tactical government off the books thing. And he just
Yeah.
made him seem like it was like me fighting a bunch of 6-year-olds. Like they
Yeah.
didn't stand a chance.
But
Not
I
to say
also wonder if
I
they,
wouldn't, you know,
it's
push
all
it.
it's all about the mission as well, though. I don't know if they were tasked to kill Frank. I think if they were
Yeah.
tasked to kill Frank, they probably could have done it from a distance. His ass didn't wear a helmet, you know.
Yeah.
But it's all like, go see what's going on with Frank. And when you go down to see what's going on with Frank, he's snapping necks, he's killing people. What do you think about this turn here, GT, for old Frank Castle here?
I thought it was framed really well. Like that look where you see his eyes turn red is shot really well and very effective. So I appreciate that, and obviously we were just having, we were basically just gushing about the killing spree
Yes,
that
that's true. That's true.
he goes on. And Jesus Christ, fucking Natasha takes some bumps in this movie.
Yes, she does. Also, I mean, it's plain as day, but this is in that moment when he is that ball of fury, he is the personification of what people think he is, right?
Yes.
They think he's just this mindless killing machine. And for the first time, like they're quite literally right. Like whatever. And I think that's part of the reason why Frank is quick to surrender.
Yeah.
He's like, at least this time, y'all right. That was some senseless killing that I did only because it's me and I'm that proficient at it, kind of stuff. So in his, as Punisher comes to, he surveys the violence that he just committed. Widow decides this was Leviathan's doing somehow, a form of brainwashing technology. S.H.I.E.L.D. agents arrive to apprehend Frank, who turns himself in for his crimes. Natasha explains to Fury that Castle was innocent and just a puppet of Leviathan's brainwashed tech, but Fury says they're going to keep him in custody until they could do a full investigation. Nick then drops a bombshell of a revelation. He knew about the brainwashed tech, and he used Widow and Frank because they were disposable if they were to become compromised, unlike the Avengers, who are public figures. Jacked up. Really jacked up. What's interesting about this is I wrote, like, he was hinting at it, and I wrote that they were expendable, and then he basically just like, yeah, you guys are expendable. And I was like, oh, yeah, well. So like, get to the point, Nick. Just get to the point. Natasha seems betrayed, but Fury is all business. Widow demands Fury give her all the intel she needs so she can finish this herself and figure out how Elias is making super soldiers. But Fury already knows this answer too, saying when Starr was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, he stole some of the Hulk's blood and used it to make its own super soldier serum. The conversation ends. Yep, the conversation ends with Fury telling Natasha she no longer has a partner and needs to shut down Leviathan alone. It's always the Hulk's blood. It's always a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and then they wonder why their super soldiers are shit. It's like they're cutting it with baking soda. It's not pure super soldier serum, and now you got a bunch of jacked up super soldiers out there acting all crazy. Literally, the Hulk is a failed super soldier experiment. So why would you take his blood and use it to make other failed super soldiers?
Numerically speaking, isn't there like 25 failed super soldier experiments?
Something like that, yeah.
There's a lot.
Everything else is weapon 1 through like 10 is Wolverine, 23 is old girl.
Plus program. I know Swamp Man Thing's in there somewhere. Luke Cage is also in there. Phantom X, Deadpool. I believe Deadpool's 11, if not 13. According to here, they have. Oh yeah, it goes. Yeah, it gets kind of crazy. I'm looking at it right now. There's multiple weapons, but yeah, it's all in the same vein. It's all trying to redo Project Rebirth. And it very rarely works. Where did my thing go? Yeah. So, in his cell, Punisher relives the tragedy that made him this way. Which is like constant, like this, always thinking about this thing. The senseless murder of his family by the mafia. Widow visits Frank in his cell, and Frank explains that the Punisher was a being born of vengeance, but now he wonders if he can be trusted, if he can be brainwashed just like he was. I was like on board with this. Like I thought this was going to be like almost a retrospective, like they were going to go through and sort of kind of, play around with this idea of like Frank realizing what other people see. And then Widow's like, stop being a pussy and let's go, stop the violence.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a frat brother. Don't be a bitch. Come on, drink it.
Yeah. I thought that was quite funny. I literally did think they were gonna have some sort of like introspective moment.
Problems? Come on.
Yeah. Here's a gun. Don't worry about that. Here's a firearm. That makes all my friends feel better.
Yeah.
So what do we get more when they're on screen? You get Batman thinking about his parents being gunned down, Spider-Man thinking of Uncle Ben, or Frank Castle thinking about his kids and family being killed by the mafia.
I feel like
moment.
It's tied with Punisher and Bats to me. He actually can go a whole day for the most part without thinking about Uncle Ben. He spends many a time trying to take off Gwen Stacy's underwear, and he's not there thinking about Uncle Ben.
That's
but
fair.
I feel like if
God, I hope
Batman was, I think if Batman was betting someone and the wrong shadow hit the wall, he'd be, oh my God, not again, Martha, and then pearls everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brucey, I'm ready for that pearl necklace you said you're gonna give me. No, no, not again. My dad gave my mom a pearl necklace.
Oh no! Why were you there for that, Bruce? What?
He made me watch. He said it was a learning experience.
Oh my God!
I was born in the darkness.
Why do your underwears fall down, Master Bruce, so you can pick them back up?
Oh my God!
So
I'd like to point out a small moment in this film where
back on track, GT.
Yeah.
Professionalism.
I'd like to point out a small moment in this film where Frank Castle realized he has been merchandised.
Oh yes, when he finds the little toys.
Yeah, that was funny.
I always appreciate this interesting thing, even though there are some people it doesn't make sense for, right? I think there is a trick to knowing that, like, you can technically merchandise the Punisher because Punisher isn't a patent because you don't know who it like. You'd have to reveal who you are to patent the idea or the character, right? So like, it makes sense that most of these people can be freely merchandised as sort of open source product, except we know who Captain America is. That one doesn't work.
Yes. He has a case.
Him?
Yeah.
Excuse me, man. Yeah. And you think Tony would probably be very stringent on his trademark stuff. He's taking all the stuff off of YouTube.
People know it's Tony in certain things or not.
You're right, because a lot of people think it's his bodyguard.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
A lot of people do think it's his bodyguard. But I love how Widow, like, she's just Widow. Like, she has no, like, they've given her no civilian life. Does this 24/7. That's why it was so shocking to see, like, Yelena when we did, because it was like, oh, okay, so she does hang out with some people on occasion. So, together they head to Hong Kong to meet Ren, because Widow won't accept his little pity party, so she ropes him into the mission. Ren is an informant who has ties to the criminal underworld and who owes Frank a favor. When they get to Ren, he's hesitant to reveal any information for fear of Leviathan's retaliation. Although it takes some convincing, he explains that a huge auction will be held in Madripoor. Always in Madripoor, bro. Fucking Madripoor. That same night they're holding that auction, Leviathan is going to attempt to sell its super soldiers. Soldiers on the news causing havoc in the streets as a form of Leviathan's product. They kind of yada past this part, right? Where there's active soldiers blowing things up in a means to show off what Leviathan's tech can do. I thought that this was going to be a bigger thing, but they're like, no, let's keep going to let's keep going the auction. Let's keep going to find out stuff while these soldiers are seemingly flipping cars and blowing stuff up. And also bio soldiers, great, not great branding there by Leviathan. And I
Is it
don't think
more
they
like
look anything
Universal
special.
Soldier at this point?
Yeah.
There we go. Uni soldiers would work. Uni men.
Yeah.
I think that's what they call. No, Animen is what they call them in Invincible. Those
Oh
weird
wow.
robot,
Oh yeah,
half
you're right.
Is that in the first
yeah,
season, or is that
Animen.
from the comic? Or is that deeper into the comic? I should
Both.
say. Okay, it is in the first
No,
season.
no, it's fairly early. It's fairly early. There's a villain in the first season and in the comic who eventually gets roped into working for Cecil and them because he's so criminally genius. It is decided that he can like take a body and sort of reanimate it half robot and to create a legion of soldiers doing so.
Yeah.
And so
So
yeah, one of them.
basically it's like choose your prison, a cell or this science lab.
Right, but one of them is a child. I say child, like he's high school aged, who was kidnapped at the school and then forced to have this surgery and become this. And so, like season 2 is about that guy now trying a regular life because he, was an animan. But these
It's a very
guys don't
dark
have no
version of
chance at a
Kick-Ass.
regular life. Yeah, these guys have no chance at another life, at redemption, and all that stuff. We'll get to it, but while in Madripoor, the duo stopped by the auction, and the audience is basically like the worst of the worst people. We see Baron Zemo there. We see Count Nefaria there. Taskmaster's hanging out. Graviton, Grim Reaper, and Griffin. And if you don't know who Griffin is, it's the man who literally spouts wings at the end, mid fight. he just busts out some wings mid fight. Even
I
though they
appreciate the
infiltrate.
idea that like some fringe off the cuff movie like this can just like nobody's paying attention. You can just pull out C characters like
Right.
B and C
And if you
characters
look
that
at that
nobody
list,
knows.
if you look at that list, they're all kind of B and C characters. They end up almost using. I mean, I think Grim Reaper is being teased for Wonder Man because that's his brother.
Is it?
Baron Zemo, obviously, yeah. Baron Zemo's in
Yeah.
Civil War. I feel like Count Nefaria might have been, or I might be thinking of Vertigo in Count Vertigo in the Arrowverse.
Oh yeah.
Taskmaster, we all know, and then I don't know Graviton and Griffin
She's
all
coming back.
that much.
George is excited.
Taskies. I want Anthony Masters, damn it. Give me Tony Masters. So super soldiers. Yeah, they go and they infiltrate in silence. They get past everybody, and then they turn on like a light, and they're surrounded by bio soldiers. And I was like, what was
Nice.
this really? What was this really? They seemingly walk into a trap. Immediately, Frank starts to gun these people down, and I'm just like, yo,
Yes.
chill out. So this reminds me of. I now understand. When I was younger, I was all about gun them down. This reminds me of a little subset of the story in The Walking Dead, where there's a little story of a man who is basically roping in his zombie neighbors, the people in his general little small town, and keeping them in a barn because he believes that this zombie apocalypse is something that's going to pass. And so once it's passed, all the
Like
people he
COVID.
cares about are in a barn, and they'll be fine. But when people start shooting these people because they are threats and are zombies, he freaks the hell out because to him, this is something that will pass. It's something that can go. And to Natasha, she believes that, there's still people in there. And Frank's like, nope, no, that he's saying while the muzzles are flashing, he's like, no, there's nobody in these bodies. And he's just gunning them
Why
down.
is he still coming? Why is he still coming?
Yeah,
Bang.
boom, boom.
Why is he still
Where's his
coming?
heart?
Bang.
That's his heart. That's his lungs. Which is why Bernthal's such a great Punisher.
That's the only season
That's
of The Walking Dead I've ever seen. That is the only series of episodes of The Walking Dead I've ever seen, and that is why the day they cast John Bernthal, I said perfect.
He absolutely nails it. See, yeah, he's shooting them indiscriminately. Widow begs him to stop, saying they all started as civilians. She eventually convinces him to limit his lethal force by invoking his family. So he just starts like kneecapping them. Like he's not going for headshots anymore. He just starts kneecapping them. That's like his form of mercy, which is hilarious. So yeah, suddenly, and I mean quite suddenly, the Hulk appears, shows up. And he's there to even the odds, with Natasha saying that she's invited some of her friends to the party. Speaking of friends, Elias shows up and activates the brainwashing tech. But Punisher shields Widow, and Hulk is unaffected as we learn Amadeus is here, and he's created tech so they can't be turned against each other. Now that our heroes are brainwash proof, Elias flees, and Punisher and Hulk take on the bio soldiers.
Mhm.
This is funny, even reading in retrospect, because yeah, Elias shows up all like badass, and then he presses the button, and then it doesn't work, and then he runs away. He's like, you know what? He's like, that's all I had. That was it. Like I thought I had the
And
Hulk.
like he like already bettered Natasha. Like if they're that good, I don't know. Like
Yeah, he's
this
playing
was
with
the
food.
epitome of separate them. You got to separate them. She's gonna follow me.
Yeah.
But so are the people? They were all like all
Gotta
the
keep
all the
them
bios. They were all
separated.
like dead, right? Or were they like just taken and controlled?
It was said by Elias that some of them volunteered and some of them didn't. And that
Very,
even the ones that
very
volunteered
positive.
may not have known to what extent they volunteered for.
Uh,
Everyone was fed the same line of being part of something greater and being something greater. And that's basically how they recruited all those people, which is why, she's saying like, don't kill them. But I don't know how far gone they are. I don't know if they can, reverse any of this stuff. I would like to have seen where Amadeus met the Hulk and how that all got Magic War, I guess.
I want to believe that Nick
That'd be
Fury is
interesting.
just listening and just going, I remember giving that speech.
Yeah, right.
Good times.
So Widow hunts Elias down and confronts him on a catwalk, because it's always a catwalk in a spy thing. You always got to end up on some sort of catwalk. They fight again, but this time Elias lays it all out. His desperation to be worthy of Widow's love, his rage that she is partnering with someone else. When push comes to shove, though, he pulls his punches when he sends Widow over the edge of the catwalk, remembering the love he had for her. Once powered by spite, Elias sees the error of his ways as Natasha confesses that he had always had her love. He helps her back up, and she apologizes for not seeing his pain earlier. She motivates him by saying he can still make this right and make the right choice. Elias tells Nat about a kill switch that could shut all the soldiers down, but his boss Orion has it in his possession. He warns that the auction room will be filled with terrible people, so she asks for his help once more for old time's sake. Are you buying this romance, guys? How did you feel about this turn here?
well, anyone listening to this, learn to communicate with your partner.
Yeah.
Like that would have solved literally the entire movie.
Yeah.
Just open communication.
Yeah.
Like I didn't buy it. This is kind of his cheesy writing to me, especially like the immediate like, oh well, now that like you think I'm worthy of being like your partner, I'll help you.
Right.
But I guess it is like your stereotypical like anime guy falls for girls like I need your help now, and he's like I'm good again. It's Vegeta,
Yeah.
but like not as cool.
The power of boners, bro.
The power of bonus. Yes.
Go ahead, GT.
Also, I feel like if a woman is sleeping with you and you're still questioning your legitimacy in the relationship, I feel like the problem is within. Maybe you also need to be having conversations with that mirror.
No, 100%. And Ace is not even joking. He quite literally says like basically everything, but I thought this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically like, what did you
figure that out yourself?
You were mad and I bought this new car. Is that not what you wanted? She's like, I didn't ask for no damn car. I told you that I wanted you to take out the trash earlier, and you didn't. And I was just hoping that you would eventually come home and take out the
I
trash.
told you to take out the garbage. I got
See, that's what I'm saying. It's just simple. Hey,
But
you got to communicate.
yeah, it's like, like I faked my death. I stole proprietary technology from S.H.I.E.L.D. I sold it to villains who are literally enslaving people and are part of every crime syndicate around the world. I made them better, stronger. I gave them essentially an invincible army. Don't you love me yet? Like,
right.
You could have
None of that's romantic.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could have done another thing. S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, do it for S.H.I.E.L.D. Like,
that's the other thing that occurs to me. I don't know if at any point in this story he says like that he was going to try to find her afterwards and be like, "Hey, I'm new. It's like this happened by happenstance." He's like, "Oh yeah, my ex is here. Oh, what? By the way, super soldier now. What do you think?" But it was never a case of like he would do this and then he would find his way back to her one day. If this was all for her, when does that happen? When does he fit? When does he fit their reunion in his world domination plans?
Right.
It's like right after. I promise, right after the auction, I'll DM her. I just keep looking at her Instagram, and I haven't garnered the strength. But once we sell
basically,
these,
you just start looking over the list of the prisoners and just going Romanoff. All right,
yeah,
he's in that one.
Yeah, we got it.
Keep that one off the auction block.
Right. But again, I did like this fight scene. I did like at one point, like she kind of starts to like sweet talk him and then punches him in the face.
Yes.
And again, the gravity of these fight scenes, you see the punches land, you see the physics of the mouth and the jaw being pushed to the other side of the face.
Yeah.
I just like this.
This was one issue. I don't know how to call it an issue. Maybe it's like part of the duality of the character and how it works sometimes, but there are just these moments where Natasha is seemingly like listening or opening up emotionally, and I'm just like, she's faking it.
You never trust her.
Trapped.
You never trust a spy.
All a lie.
Once a spy,
Right.
always a spy.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking of that scene of her breaking down in front of Loki so he could just start waxing poetically about how bad of a man he is.
Yeah. Yes, and that's why we brought the monster here.
Yes, thank you.
The biggest plus during this fight is where she got emotional the first time they kind of had their fight. She definitely used his emotions against him. She made him too angry, and so he's not pulling. He's throwing haymakers and knee makers and everything. Like, he breaks the wall with his knee. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, also in this fight, Natasha pulls off a gymnastic technique that I'm pretty sure is just flying.
There's a lot of. I said I like the physics in this, but there's a lot of wonky physics in this. I'm just going with it was a lot of Crouching Tiger in this where I'm just going for the style of the fight. I get what they're trying to go with this. And again, like holds her own against a super soldier, a man who can crush brick with his fists and his knees. But yeah, he's seemingly on the good side now. Then the cavalry arrives. I did not expect this. Hawkeye shows up. Iron Man shows up. War Machine, Thor, the Hulk shows up. Punisher comes back. Captain Marvel. And not only Captain Marvel, Kelly Sue DeConnick's Captain Marvel.
Who should be able to solo most of these.
That's also true. That's also true. But this has got to be one of the first adaptations of Kelly Sue's Captain Marvel, right? Doesn't this come out like in 2011? This is 2014.
This is 2014.
I want to say she doesn't become this version of Captain Marvel until maybe like 2011, 2012. So seeing her in this instead of like the red with the red sash or the black bathing suit with the red sash, one of the most impractical outfits. She has knee-high boots and elbow-length gloves, but a bathing suit and a sash and a domino mask. Like that's not. It's only helping the artist. It's not helping anybody else.
I want to say it is close because I believe Carol ends up in the Disney XD show Avengers Assemble in this outfit,
Okay.
probably around season 1 or probably around season 2 or 3. But
Hmm.
that show also began in 2013. So
When did Higher, Further,
it's
Faster
tight.
come out?
Oh, that's not the name of the movie, George.
No, no. I mean the actual
The
book.
first book.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. No, I know the name of the film. It's interesting to look up these dates because they were trying to do a bit of a synergy here. I mean, there's a reason why this Iron Man looks like this Iron Man. It's meant to invoke the one people would have been most popularized with, Robert Downey Jr.'s. There's a reason why they didn't go with OG Nick Fury in this. You know, they want people who have seen those movies, which at this time are becoming massively successful, to read this and not feel super lost.
Not to
So,
mention the actor is doing overtime trying to pull off that Sam Jackson voice.
yeah, I thought he killed it in Technovore, and this is a little bit off.
It's the same guy.
I don't think so. I got to double check because I was like, this one felt a little bit off more in comparison to last time, but all of it's better than that guy who's trying to do RDJ on What If, bro. I'm just saying.
Also, I have a
just
question for you guys also because I want to know if I'm the only one. Maybe it's just me. Does Iron Man feel like he's operating at a different frame rate?
A little faster, you think?
There's something about his animations that are just different from the humans and doing human things.
It did feel like a stylistic choice, but I'm not 100% sure. I did like I didn't even know like what point introduces himself, and I'm like, is that War Machine in the back?
Yeah.
He's just there. But I mean, it was cool to see these guys back. And yes,
It is the
they
same
all do battle.
Nick Fury, by the way.
It is the same Nick Fury.
Thank you.
Same voice actor, yeah.
Interesting. So, they're taking down the what happened?
I went to look up Higher, Further, Faster, and I saw the thing. Is this it? Oh, okay, no. They have a different book called Higher, Further, Faster, which does the thing where it's just like, hey, doesn't this image look like the thing you know?
Oh, come on. What is that? Is that like a movie adaptation book or something?
It is a 12 to 18-year-old paperback novel.
The book is 18 years old? That's ridiculous.
No, it says age range 12 to 18.
Got you. Young adult.
Yes, Marvel Press.
Young adult stuff. But GT had mentioned this, I believe, off air for last week when I told him I was covering Technovore. Because where everyone shows up, Nat and Elias are in the building trying to shut it down. Iron Man shows up and like helps out Frank and is like, "Hey, this is for Karachi," or whatever. And I had just covered that Karachi stuff from the last episode, from the last movie, where Frank helps Iron Man escape Black Widow of all people. So that's interesting. But this is my favorite part of the entire film for me because he says something like, "Frank, are you still like a dour, miserable son of a bitch?" And he just shoots him in the face.
Yes.
You're still bulletproof. Like,
yeah, he just says, "Good to see you're still bulletproof." I'm going to take that and I'm going to post that on the page because I thought that was so in character. It just worked 100% well. I can see that happening in every comic, in every live action adaptation. That's exactly what happened. Don't talk to a man. All reckless got a machine gun. Like, what you doing out here? So yeah, just shoot. I literally have in parentheses, Frank shoots Iron Man in the face.
Isn't there a meme with like the Punisher and somebody else who's like, "Hey Frank, family's still dead. Hey, still crazy."
I want Bucky. I want to say. I think it's him and Bucky. He says like, "Hey, you're still a psychopathic, Manchurian candidate, whatever." He's like, "Yeah, your kid's still dead or whatever." I'm like, "Oh my god." This is ridiculous.
Captain Marvel #1 by Kelly Sue DeConnick, according to this Marvel website, published March 12th, 2014.
Wow, wait a minute. Interesting. That might be the volume. If it's the volume, then quite possibly she debuted in 2013. They would put the volume together, right? And then they would publish it out the next year. So this is like a year of this.
#1.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'd be very interested in seeing how all this developed because this is all brand new. I think she even has a hairstyle closer to the beginnings of that of that book, where she's doing kind of like the braid and stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, da, da, da. This I'm not gonna lie. This part of the film felt like they started to write this third act, and then they were like, "How much runtime is left?"
Yeah.
They're like, and Bill walks in. He's like, "All right, guys, I did it. I was up all night. I came up with Orion's backstory, his motivation, why he's going and moving forward, why he chose Elias and everybody else, what the next step is gonna be, and we're gonna find out that he's even working for somebody. No, we ain't got time for all that. We got to end this thing in about 10 minutes. What do you got for us? I mean, he's And that's basically all the characterization this guy gets. He sits on an evil throne and he looks evil because he has some sort of evil suit on. And he has some weird like Cyclops one eye thing going on. And again, what makes me laugh so much is I think there's in this film where like a person is presented evil, but they haven't done anything yet. And then the good guys just call off. Like as soon as they get into this room, I think Orion's like, what's the meaning of this? And then Elias just starts throwing hands. He just starts punching them and kicking them, and Orion's like, what the hell? They immediately go on the attack. And Orion seems not only unfazed, but he's unbothered. He says they're too late as the plans are already in motion. A super soldier with powered armor himself is what I'm assuming. Orion powers up and takes down Natasha. He dogs Elias for losing sight of the mission to empower the weak and change the world. Not falling for the propaganda, Elias attacks Orion, and with Widow's help, he gets the kill switch and deactivates the Bio-Soldier army. This is another funny moment. Punisher arrives and is like, "Hey, I remember you," and goes to kill Elias. And Widow's like, no, wait. We were on the catwalk and we had a whole conversation. He's good now.
Yeah.
He said, "Not again." And so he's aiming his guns. He's ready to kill this man right there on the spot.
I want to know. So looking this up, on a listicle on Nerdist, an idea that George knows a lot about. In listing all of Captain Marvel's outfits, it suggests that the outfit we are speaking of, even though her solo run with Kelly Sue DeConnick began in 2014, apparently, that the suit actually debuted in 2012.
Okay. Yeah.
On what? I have no idea.
She was still Miss Marvel. It has to eventually be that is the Captain Marvel suit. So that's why it looks captainy. Because she was still Miss Marvel. Interesting. So Orion shoots a massive energy beam to take out Widow. Elias jumps in the way and is seriously injured for it. I thought he was dead on the spot, but we got to get a little bit of sentimental before he's able to do that.
Yeah, he should have been. It would have been a better story.
Yeah, I put fatally injured, and then I had to delete and put seriously injured.
Right.
Orion mocks Elias for having too much heart, so Punisher shows up. Now, this is a question I have for you guys. Was it me, or did Frank have a certain level of anger here in this moment? He felt, how do I say this? The idea that like Elias was a puppet for him and the other people were puppets for him. He seemed very angry at Orion for this.
Yeah, this is when we get like this is when you get Frank Castle like killing mob bosses anger. Like you've done all this damage. You're about to get murked. And then he became the smoothest boxer, spinner, dodger that we've ever seen. This man should have played in the NFL. Like it was amazing. Like,
and his opponent looks like the Michael Bay Megatron. Like he just played it up. He just played it up to the gills.
JRPG Dr. Doom.
Yes, he was.
Yes. I actually did ask myself for a few moments, like, is this Doom? Like before he takes the hood off and reveals who he actually is.
Yeah, reveals his eye. It's
Yeah.
one big eye or whatever. But yeah, Punisher reading him the
Japan does
riot
love a
act here.
Cyclops.
Punisher reading him the riot act here felt personal. I don't know if he just understood. I mean, one, he was also brainwashed. Maybe that's a bit of it, right? The blood
Yeah.
that's on his hands with S.H.I.E.L.D. is also on the hands of Orion.
Yeah.
I gotta believe he sympathizes with the idea of a soldier being led by an evil, leader, not necessarily caring about whether or not those people live or die.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack here in this moment. But Punisher basically, this is a cathartic moment for him. Like he lets it all out here in this, and he just stabs him. So I originally wrote stabs him through his eye, but obviously that's not the case. The eye is in the middle of the helmet. He just stabs him through the head.
Yeah.
Right? He stabs him through his head with a Bowie knife.
That's gotta be the worst death in the whole movie. Like,
Ugh.
Yeah.
'cause you're
Right
gonna
through the
live for a
head.
minute. Like,
Yes.
you're not gonna
Splitting
die
headache.
fast. Like,
Splitting headache, and then everything goes purple for a while. Everything tastes like broccoli, and
he's
then
like Odysseus.
it all's downhill from here. Elias succumbs to his wounds, and Nat confesses that he was and always will be her hero. I gotta imagine that right after that.
Your hero, baby.
I gotta imagine that right after that. Frank's like, "You fucked that dude." He was like, "It was a long
Like,
time ago, Frank." All right, whatever you say. And so, the good guys debrief, and Nat says goodbye to
You don't
Star.
get a lot of options when your house is a shield helicarrier.
That's true. That's true. The good guys debrief, and Nat says goodbye to Star before his body bag is zipped up. Fury expresses regret for putting Frank on this mission as they needed Star and Orion alive to take down this organization. This scene
You
is
think?
quite confusing for me because you can't have disposable and obedient soldiers, can you? Especially once they
No.
realize that they are disposable. Like, be happy they got this much of the job done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get what you wanted, best case scenario, but like they did pretty good given everything that was going on at the moment. It stopped the super soldier army from terrorizing the entire world. But like, Fury starts to like poke Frank. Like he starts to like punch him. What is he doing here in this moment? He's like physically provoking him. What is he doing?
I thought he was checking his body armor. Truth be told, like, what if we shoot this dude? Oh,
Where can we shoot? Where on Frank can we shoot? Yeah. What do you think he was doing there, GT? Just touching his chest, poking him,
looking
chest bumping him. Yeah, he's not looking for new places to shoot him. This is all just it's a pissing contest.
But mostly, also like you have to make it like the video game, but the weak point is just like oddly purple for some reason.
Yes.
Thanks, Suicide Squad kills the Justice League.
Oh dear, for that and nothing else.
Yes, I don't know what he thought was going on. This is a very troubling. I don't want to say troubling. It's a frustrating scene because at some point you're just like, I feel like Fury is smarter than this.
Right.
Also, I want to point out that Fury's coat gets a transition.
Really?
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Fury's coat serves as a scene transition.
Oh, that's cool.
He like whips it, like he whips
when
it at the camera.
He goes to turn, and they do the whoosh with his coat, and as his coat comes across the screen, then it goes straight to Widow and Punisher. It's like
Punisher.
It's a complete transitional shot.
That's cool.
I just like Fury reads him the riot act. This screams police commissioner in a buddy cop sort of thing. But Frank correctly tells him, I don't work for you. Like, yeah, but Frank's like, I don't work for you. Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like, he basically is like, I don't give what you say because I didn't want to do this. Then you made me do this. Then I did it my way, and I was done.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically
which I told you I was gonna do. I didn't lie.
Yeah, I said I'm gonna have to do it my way. You said, all right, Widow's gonna help, whatever. Like,
we agreed I'd get you to them. I didn't say I wouldn't kill him. We just take a read. I'd get you there. What?
So I was shocked at Fury's reaction because this is usually the part in the movie where they go, you're unorthodox, Frank, but you get the job done, and then they high five in slow motion and the sun sets.
Yeah.
But no,
Fury goes, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah, basically. Give me your gun and your badge, Natasha. You're off the case. So, yeah, he's like, I don't care. So, and I don't give a fuck, and I don't work for you. So Fury's like, all right, then Nat, arrest him. And that's like, what are you talking about? We just went and did that thing you told us to do, and we did it correctly. And now I gotta arrest him?
Yeah.
And Frank's like, over it. I was over it for Frank. I was like, bro, just go. Like, whatever this is, just freaking go. So he surrenders, saying he has no regrets. That everyone he killed deserved to die. He's saying all this in front of Fury. Like, everyone I killed deserved to die. You hired me to kill people, and then I killed people. Now y'all mad. So I don't understand what's going on, but whatever. I could be under arrest. So he gets placed under arrest and is given to Natasha to make sure he's taken to his cell. Now, you gotta believe. I want to believe, considering there's nothing I don't think that continues from this story. I want to believe that Fury knew what she was gonna do. And he just had to do all that pomp and circumstance.
It's all
he had to do all that pomp and
bullshit.
circumstance stuff. Either that or he's dumb, and I don't want to think he's dumb, right? Because if he doesn't know what's going on here, and he's like, hey, you punish your own little sister, I'm going to another room. How that happens. It's like, we got to see the follow through. You got to see for the follow through.
It's just one of those things where it's just like, here are the keys to the cell. Don't take them.
Just whatever you do. So Nat uses the opportunity to free Castle, saying she finally realizes how she feels about the Punisher, or finally realizing how she feels about the Punisher. With Frank free, this is also one of my favorite parts of the film because what a petty man. With Frank free, he locates Kane in Miami and finishes his unfinished business by putting a bullet in his head in the bathroom. The end. You never think you're going to say a sentence like that talking about a Marvel film.
Yeah. Right. This man's just trying to party. Frank was like, nah.
Yeah. But also the stylistic way that they like shoot it with all the lights cut off and you see the door open and close, but you don't really see the body. And then if you basically start from the vantage point of the skull. Like, that's all you need to know. You see the skull, you know what's there, but then it rises up and his eyes are black. Almost in a villainous way, but it's just the anti-hero gaze, I guess, that he's giving in this moment to show that, he's still got a bit of rough edges around him. What going to try to handle things his way. He definitely handled it his way here. Bye-bye, Kane.
Still Frank.
GT, what did you think of this ending?
I once again, for someone who operates in the darkest of shadows, like Frank Castle, why does he have branded technology?
Oh yeah, because he drops what is his phone or something?
Yeah,
it has his skull on it. Yeah.
Like just leave my calling card across the scene. Totally.
Bro, it's even worse in the '89 film. In the '89 film, he doesn't wear a Punisher vest. He has knives with a Punisher skulls on the end of them.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
And he leaves them at the scene. We were talking about what sort of Trading Express he hires. That he ropes in. Hey, let me get 1,000 knives.
Yeah.
With skulls, please. And leaves them behind on the scene. But branding is important. Branding is super important, so I guess he was trying to get that right.
Also, I appreciate it, at least number one, how much more vulnerable can you be other than with with your unmentionables out in a bathroom stall, and then in the darkness of all that is unholy, all you can see is that fucking skull.
Yeah,
and it's almost glowing. Like I said, just the way they do it, it's almost like a nightlight.
I was wondering if it's glow in the dark.
Yeah, right? That would be kind of a cool Punisher thing. Maybe not green, if they could find a way to do it in white.
Yeah.
That's all you see kind of stuff. Yeah. And he says he puts it on his center mask so he can get shot there or whatever. I think he said it before Batman did.
It was in the Punisher show. He says, I the best armor's right there. So they have a spot they want to shoot at, but it's the most armored. which is
Right.
really
Yeah.
smart, really.
And especially also, yeah, like in the dark, it's the only thing you can see. So that's what you're
Yeah.
looking for.
Right. And they would eventually say that Batman has a similar thing on his for
On the
his
best
emblem, the yellow
symbol, yeah.
yeah, on the
Yeah.
bat symbol. So yeah, they wrote that in there. What do you think of this ending, Asa?
I thought it was a good ending. I mean, it's where the whole movie started for him going after the guy. It's
Yeah.
at least we get to see him accomplish his mission.
Close the circle, as it were.
Yeah. So like I think it's a good finalization point of the story they're telling.
It's such a little thread that I almost like appreciate that they tied it. Tied the loose thread. It's so little. Like usually in nothing else, no one would address this. That guy ran away and it was what it was.
Yeah,
But like
we'll
the
get him
fact that
eventually.
Punisher had to come back, it made me smile. I didn't know where he was going. I was like, where's he going? Miami. And then they show the guy. I'm like, nah. He literally left. He literally left Magic for it. Was like, I got something to do. I'll be back. So
Get
yes,
mine.
this film had the best and the worst of anime tropes. But I really liked what they were able to do with action in this. From my memory, last time I watched Batman Ninja, I didn't love it. So I'm kind of hoping I really love it on this second watch, because that's what we'll be covering next week. But I like this 2-part 1-2 punch of Rise of Technovore and this film. So if you guys haven't checked those films out, why did you listen this far? But if you have, you just like the sound of our voices, go back and check out this stuff. It's very unique animation. I love how the action scenes are played out, and it's just a different flavor of the MCU and Marvel that you've always loved and adored. So go ahead and check that out, especially in celebration of anime. Like I said, next week we're covering Joker. Nope, we're covering Batman Ninja. Anime, very, very anime influenced adaptation of Batman. My boy Damian Wayne's in it. So we'll be covering that on the next episode. Yeah, bro. Red Hood is in it, but he's not wearing a hood. He's like wearing like a lantern thing. It's.
I mean, you're making all the cultural adaptations you can for that sort of thing.
Yes. You ever seen that little anime short for Batman that they had on Cartoon Network?
I don't think I did.
I'll show it to you guys. Really, really impressive stuff. I'm like, if they would have done something in this light, I totally would have dug it. But it's still on the calendar for next week, so check us out to see if we cover it as part of the Major Issues podcast. And you can find every episode of the Major Issues podcast at ComicBookClique.com, where everything Comic Book Clique lives. And we got a new roommate, DirtSheet Radio, who's over there killing the game, covering all things professional wrestling and pop culture. So consider going over there to check out some of the things we're doing, some of the things that they're doing over there as part of ComicBookClique.com. We have over 300 episodes up there, over 600 hours of content. We've covered every single comic book theater release since 2017, like in real time as they dropped, and then we've even gone back and done some retro reviews. Like I just said, a month ago we covered the Punisher from 1989. I believe that rounds off. I think we've now done them all. I think we've finally finished all of the Punishers. One of the things still missing, it might end up on this next schedule, is the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury film, which
there's a lot of old superhero movies that can frustratingly fill these spaces.
GT, you've got a front row when we cover the 1960s Doctor Strange. I'm going
to be on vacation, sir. I don't think I'll be available.
I need you dead center. But yeah, man, we're covering all the old stuff, but we got new stuff coming out. X-Men 97 is finishing up. The Boys is about to come back for some more violence and more gratuitous sexuality, if you will. We got all kinds of comics being greenlit. We do a comic book preview video series called Major Previews, which drops every single month, once a month, as we talk about whether the hot issues are going to be to come to comics that month. So consider checking that out. We do that free of charge. We do major issues free of charge. Besides ComicBookClique.com,
did you see that Gen V announced they're not going to recast Chance Perdomo?
I did see that. We were talking a little bit off air about whether or not they'll just say he died in internment because they're all like in some weird prison.
Okay.
Currently, they could say they tested the butcher thing, the virus, the superhero virus.
The virus, yeah. But
yeah, they could say Yeah. At least I've chosen a side. Sorry, that always just brings me back
Oh
to
no. Oh no.
just bring me back to that.
Oh my
Yeah, so
god.
check out if you already have a podcast app that you like to use, you got your Rogan already loaded in there, go ahead and check us out because we're available wherever podcasts are found. Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcasts, TuneFind, Spotify, YouTube, and more. You can just Google Major Issues Podcast and we'll be the first ones to pop up, and I'm very proud of that. Consider going to our website. You can hit that support CBC link and it'll take you to our Patreon, patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse, where for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you can help us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and the software that we need to continue to give you guys content free of charge. Like I said, every single week, over 300 episodes of the Major Issues Podcast, every single month with this video series, Major Previews, and we can continue to do more content if we're able to be helped out a little bit monetarily because this stuff is time consuming and time is money. So any bit of help helps us out. We love doing this for you guys. So help us get to these goals. We're branching out. We're all over social media, facebook.com/comicbookclique, Instagram @comicbookclique, or you can use the hashtag comicbookclique to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at Major Issue CBC on Twitter and at Major Issue CBC on Twitch as soon as GT convinces me to keep playing Midnight Suns. And we will be so we'll be up there.
Have you started it?
I have not started it yet. I have it.
Okay.
It's on
Yeah.
PlayStation. Everything's plugged up. I still gotta get Osprey through. We still gotta get Osprey through his My Rise, and then we'll go and then we'll the My Grind. This is the silliest podcast you people ever listen to. But yeah, the My Grind. Um, But yeah, man, get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. This is the Babe Ruth Rookie Cards of Podcast. It's going to be worth millions later on. So make sure you have it in your hand now, man. Action Comics #1, baby. You threw it out? What? Bonkers. Get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full, because if not, you're going to end up in the back of the line, and then we can't hear you. You could have been sitting right up here with us, right in the beginning. You understand? This is grassroots. But yeah, get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon becomes full, because I have been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic books and comic media, but I can't tell you how we do it, because if I do, next thing you know, Dwayne showing up 5 hours late for his interview.
Still Dwayne, god damn it!
Podcast.
The Dwayne slander continues.
I might lay off him. He's just an easy bald-headed milk dud target right now. The final boss, but I told you, silly. I'm loopy right now. I'm on fumes. So,
oh my god,
get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. Join us everywhere that we are, and especially join us next week for a new episode of the Major Issues Podcast. But, do you people want to tell them where they can find you? I completely missed that part.
You can find me on threads at Asa H. Griffith. I got some announcements that'll be coming in the next couple weeks, months, some stuff I'm working on personally, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, that's interesting, GT.
Mystery. You can find, I guess me and all of us on at DirtSheet Radio, where we talk about professional wrestling to degrees that 30-year-old men probably shouldn't be talking about, but still are.
Great things happen over there on the DirtSheet Radio Podcast. Blood, sweat, and literal tears on occasion, depending on who's on the episode. But you guys are killing it over there. Yeah, we're doing some great things, man. I'm being serious about saying, get on this before this takes off. It's been great to see the support that we've already gotten. We're making major numbers across the board. So thank you for all you guys who have supported. Continue to support by telling your friends about us, and we will meet up right here next week for another episode of the Major Issues Podcast covering Batman Ninja, or a better anime if I can find it. But my name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
All-Star Asa.
I'm Gregory Thomas, aka GT Weaver.
And this has been our Avengers Confidential Black Widow and Punisher recap and review. And remember, whether you're a one-man war on crime, an ex-boyfriend seriously overcompensating, a Russian operative with a sweet hurricanrana, or a one-eyed super soldier spy just trying to hold it all together, remember, we are the Clique, and always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.